Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Football Postcast, I'm Bruce Millington, and joining me this week to look ahead to a great weekend of football are Mark Langdon and Joe Champion from the Racing Post Football Desk, and also over in Ireland, Paddy Power's Emmett O'Keefe. Loads and loads of great games to get stuck into. Hopefully the boys are brimming with confidence and stacked full of winners. We've got the Naps, of course. We were 4 out of 4 in the Naps last week, so we will try and keep that run going. But before we look ahead to what we've got at the weekend, we will look back at recent events in the form of the 6 questions. We'll also tackle some of the burning issues of the day and probably some of the more trivial ones. The boys get 2 each and then get to ask the one they wish they had been asked. We'll start with you, Mark. Has there ever been a more peculiar Premier League match than Spurs versus Man City?
Yeah, I mean, there probably has, but not for a while. Certainly not high profile. It just wasn't. It wasn't a great look for sure.
It was really weird. Just weird.
I mean, it was a weird atmosphere. It was a weird pitch. Weird opening goal. And it was a strange game. I mean, I mean, obviously Tottenham are to blame to some extent because they haven't got the stadium sorted out, and you know that they said they would have by now. But I just don't see why the Premier League was so insistent that they had to play in the same round of matches as everybody else once it had become clear that it was going to be fitted in. I mean, I think we've seen maybe, with the tragic events at Leicester that, games can be postponed and played at another time, and you always make room in the football calendar for, unforeseen circumstances, and not having a stadium is one of those, and that they could have played it in the new year sometime. I mean, and you would have got a much better game, probably a much better feeling in the stadium, and maybe even more goals, because I think most people had City Spurs down for more than one. But it was
just so bizarre. I can't work out whether the pitch, it was the look of the pitch or the behaviour of the pitch.
It was the behaviour of the pitch. There were odd bounces, and I think usually with players, I suppose it's a bit like cricket really, where if it's bad all the time, then they kind of prepare for it. But it was just this odd one where it'd spring up and then it wouldn't run properly, and of course all the markings on the pitch weren't great either. So no, it was a bad advert for the Premier League.
Didn't enjoy that at all. Okay, Joe. What do you prefer? Not what you prefer, but what would you choose? A minute's silence or a minute's applause?
I'd take the silence, I think. I think you have to play the situation. There are certain things where applause might be necessary, but...
I'm trying to think which one would be. Can you remember why it came in?
I'm trying to think. I'm wondering,
a few
George
years
Best,
back.
sort of.
Maybe.
I mean, it was just sort of like they wanted to...
an appreciation rather than... Yeah, okay.
But I think there is a clear difference. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, I'd take the silence, personally.
It's very rare, I think, for fans not to observe this silence. You were at West Ham last night, was it? The word you have to use is impeccable, isn't it?
It wasn't impeccable, because what happened was there were a lot of late arriving people that are kind of just... You could hear sort of chatter and singing from the concourse as they were coming into the stadium, but as people got into the stadium, it felt quiet. I mean, the most poignant one probably ever from a Spurs fans' point of view was David Rochdale died, and Spurs were the next team to go to Highbury, and I think people were fearful that would sort of kick off, and it didn't. People are, I think, generally speaking, respectful.
You go along with that, Joe?
Yeah, I think we have to believe that most people are adults and they will actually adhere to a silence. So,
I agree.
I agree.
I think it's just so powerful when you hear that crisp silence and just the distant hum of a motorway or whatever. I think that to me is far more poignant. Let's speak to Emmett. He's a Man U fan, dropping Lukaku last weekend. Was that a good decision, would you say, Emmett?
I think it was definitely a good decision. He hasn't looked in, I think, brilliant physical condition since the World Cup. And just he's, like, even last season, although he scored a reasonable amount of goals, his link-up play and his team play has never really impressed. And I'd like to see Rashford given a decent run of games, playing alongside Martial.
Okay, excellent. Mark, who should get the Real Madrid job and who will get it? Before you answer, Emmett, do you have some prices to hand?
Yeah, Santiago Solari, the interim manager, is currently the 10 to 11 favourite. Roberto Martinez 13 to 5, Pochettino 13 to 5, Arsene Wenger 6-1, Mourinho 10-1, Conte 14-1 on 20s bar.
I think in terms of who should get it, I think Pochettino has probably done enough now to. He hasn't won a trophy, but he's improved every team he's played, and I think that the table that Sky put up the other night on Monday Night Football of him outperforming nearly everybody else in the Premier League, despite having spent about 200 million less than them, suggests that he does deserve this opportunity. He's an Argentinian, so that kind of Real Madrid is the biggest club job for him, without a doubt. Really, in terms of European football, there's nobody better in that part of the world.
You've got to be slightly careful because Florentino Perez does listen to these, so
yeah.
you don't want to get the blame.
I think he does deserve it. I wouldn't expect him to leave mid-season though. I think it could be one of them where Solari kind of just takes it until the end of the season, give it Solari to the end of the season, and then Pochettino comes in. Then Martinez. It's quite a funny one, really. I mean, it seems to be they're that desperate to get Eden Hazard in that they're trying to do everything. But no, I'd go for Solari until the end of the season, then Poch.
Okay, Joe, who is going to be the young player of the year? And again, I won't ask you, Emma. I've got these to hand just in case your computer froze or whatever. We're for Raheem Sterling. The more I look at this list, I think they must have extended the age to about 28. 13-2 Richarlison, 9 Dele Alli, 9 Maddison, 9 Bernardo Silva, 10 Neves, 10 Keita, 11 Joe Gomez, 12 Sane, 14 Jesus and 20 Bar. Who do you fancy, Joe?
I think you have to be 24 at the start of the season to get in.
Is that what it is?
It's a pretty big window, and that's why Harry Kane's been nominated every year for the last 5 years. I'll go with, I expect Man City will win the league, and Bernardo Silva's really stepping up this season, so since he's eligible somehow, I'll go for him.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's got a gnarly old veteran.
Yeah, he's playing a big part in their season so far, so I expect him to continue doing well.
Bernardo Silva for Joe. And Emmett, your second question is, what is the best bet for Champions League Match Week 4, which takes place next Tuesday and Wednesday? It's the reverse of Match Week 3, isn't it?
Yes, I've been I'm trying to get after Atletico Madrid, really. I think I haven't been impressed with them, even though they're close to the top of the Spanish league. And just Dortmund have really impressed me. Their goal difference is far superior to anyone in the Bundesliga. And I'd take a chance them, double chance at over evens.
I looked at that, Emmett. They're 8-11, I think, Atletico. I mean, that's quite a turnaround, isn't it? To be odds on having been drubbed 4-0 at the other mob's place. I mean, that's a leap of faith to back them at 8-11, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they're kind of being priced based on reputation, and I kind of think as well they're not maybe quite as solid defensively as they were in previous years, with Godin getting a bit older, and Simeone hasn't been really quite able to unlock the attacking potential they have. Thomas Lemar was a pretty huge signing in the summer, and with Griezmann, Son Liguez, Costa there, you'd expect them to be a bit more potent attacking force than they have been this year.
You're big on Borussia this season, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I'm pretty hopeful. That I had them in the German Cup, and they suddenly scraped by an extra time the other night. But they've been very impressive this season so far.
Okay, Mark, which question do you want to answer?
Take the young player of the year. Sane won it last year, but generally speaking, English players have got probably a better record in this than they should do. Even though you get the 23, 24-year-olds or whatever, it is more of a breakthrough act, I think, and people do tend to see it as such. So I was looking maybe at Joe Gomez for Liverpool. I mean, he's playing in a team that's riding high in the Premier League, doing well in the Champions League. It's a high-profile club as well, and I think he's really good. I mean, we saw that with England against Spain. He can play centre-half or right-back, Joe Gomez.
Okay. I saw Wan-Bissaka at 66-1 in Paddy Paz. It's probably just not eye-catching enough. No,
I saw one of them player radars that sort of all the stats sort of suggesting that he's not far off elite at the moment.
He is really, really good, I tell you. Excellent. That'll be next week's column after Wilf this week. Joe, which question are you going to answer?
I'll take the Champions League one. I just want to oppose PSG on their trip to Napoli.
Little nod from Mr. Langdon there.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they've been pretty abject so far in the Champions League, and they can't seem to defend. And Napoli, when they hosted Liverpool, they didn't have a single shot on target at Liverpool, which is really impressive considering all the firepower that they've got. So And I'm not sure what prices are at the moment, but I'm definitely trying to oppose PSG in some way.
They'll be fairly short, Napoli, won't they? Emmett?
Yeah, currently Napoli are 15 to 8, draw 11
15
to
to
4.
8, it's not so bad,
I'll
is
take
it?
that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have some of that. And Emmett, which question are you going to answer?
I'd go for the young player as well. As Mark said, I think Gomez is a good candidate, and with the English bias being a help. But I was very impressed with Harry Winks when he came on the other night, and he was decent for England against Spain as well. At 33 to 1, I think he's worth the chance.
He was one of the sort of standout performers the other night. He's one who could actually get on the ball and make stuff happen, wasn't he?
100%. I mean, before he got injured last year, I think he was a big runner for this award. He was playing very well for Spurs. He was excellent. I remember in the Burnley in the Champions League, he was particularly good. And I think he's a very high level player. And if he stays fit till the end of the year, I think he'll be a regular starter in the Spurs team. And I think he could easily go close. Do you
think if he's fit, he's actually first choice if Pochettino's picking his best 11?
I think he will be, because I think Moussa Dembele looks a slightly diminished player from previous seasons, and obviously Eric Dyer might be in there as the holding role, but Spurs actually don't have that many options in central midfield. It's one of probably the weakest position in their squad, I would say.
Okay, those were the 6 questions. Let's get stuck into the weekend football, and we will start with the Saturday lunchtime game down at Dean Court, 12:30, Bournemouth v Man U, live on BT. What's the latest betting on this one, Emmett?
Bournemouth at 13 to 5. The draw is 13 to 5, and Man United are evens.
Joe, you go first. You're going to be lumping on Man U?
I wouldn't say I'd be lumping on Man U, but I do fancy Man U to go well in this game. They were much better against Everton last week, and Bournemouth have they're in a high position in the table, but they haven't played that many strong sides. Chelsea comfortably beat them at Stamford Bridge, and last season Man United played them, and Bournemouth didn't really do much against them. They haven't got a great record against them recently. We've mentioned him already, Anthony Martial. He's the bet for me to score first. I think he's played really well when he's been given the chance, and he's looked like Mourinho's finally starting to put faith in him. He's averaging, I think it's a goal every 109 minutes this season in the league. So for me, he's a bet at 7 to 1, probably each way to score first.
Like that. Mark?
I am going to oppose Manchester United, actually, on the double chance market. I do take on board the fact that Bournemouth have had quite a nice run of fixtures and also had a lot of penalties, and they've played against teams that have had players sent off. But Manchester United lost at Brighton, lost at West Ham. They've only won half of their 10 Premier League matches. And if you have a look on the expected goals, I mean, you were expecting these two teams to flip at some stage, Bournemouth riding high and Man United not so. But on the expected goals, they're kind of where they should be, which surprised me, maybe down to the fact that Bournemouth have played against 10 men and had their penalties. But United are not doing anything special enough, really, for me to consider backing them against a Bournemouth team that I tipped for relegation at the start of the season, but they're putting up numbers far superior to they did last year.
Do you think if Poch does go to Madrid that Eddie will be a credible replacement?
I would have thought he would have been. It'd probably be him or Brendan Rodgers, but I would have thought Eddie Howe.
Who would you prefer out the two?
Eddie Howe.
Yeah. What about your beloved Man U then, Emmett? Are you going to keep the faith or oppose them?
If I had to go either way in the match betting, it would be towards Bournemouth. As Mark said, Bournemouth statistics are very impressive, and they've clearly taken a step forward since last year. But the way I'd go would be over 2.5 goals at 8 to 11. I think both defences can't be trusted here, especially Lindelof and Smalling up against Callum Wilson and Joshua King, who are both in the top 10 in the league in expected goals for players. And then, on the other hand, Steve Cook and Simon Francis, I think, will struggle against United's counter-attacks. So I think over 2.5 goals is a safe bet here.
What do you make of Pogba these days, Emmett?
Obviously, it's very much a mixed bag, because I think a lot of United's good play comes from him, comes from his forward passes. There's no other midfielder in the squad who can do what he does. But there's some ridiculous mistakes in there as well. I thought
Gary Neville's reference to that stupid little chip that he did to squander possession so cheaply, that just shows that these comparisons with the great Premier League midfielders are very premature, aren't they?
Definitely. But the only thing I'd say about that is that I thought Smalling's tackle was horrendous for that mistake. And like, I feel kind of Pogba gets more of the blame than Smalling, but actually Smalling probably deserved more of the blame there. But I definitely take your point that Pogba hasn't delivered as much as you'd hope. But I think just history suggests that we've seen Pogba at his best when he played with Andrea Pirlo at Juventus, who could dictate the play. And then with France in the summer, when N'Golo Kante was up until the final, the main man in that midfield. So I don't think relying on Pogba to be the main man and dictate the play in midfield, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to have to sign a better player than Fred and Nemanja Matic to help him, really.
Yeah, 61 million for Fred, Mark. That's a good value, isn't it?
But, I mean, I'm a big Pogba fan, but like, how many players have United got to buy to get the best out of Pogba? I mean, that at some stage he has to take the responsibility because it's like, well, he needs this to play in this position. He needs someone else to do this for him. I mean, I mean, at some stage, he's now getting where he needs to become that one that does everything, really, because I don't see he can keep on having these excuses that he needs other players to do lots of stuff for him because that's if you spend 100 million on somebody, they should be able to do what's required of them.
I think you're right. Let's look at the rest of the 3 p.m. games next.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
OK then, so let's look at the 3 p.m. non-televised Premier League games. There are just the 4. I'll read out the prices and the boys will tell us who they think will happen. Let's start with the poignant affair down in South Wales. Cardiff 5-2, 9-4 the draw, 11-10 Leicester City. These are Paddy Power prices. Joe, what do you fancy?
Yeah, I mean, it's been obviously a trying week for Leicester and everyone connected with the club, and we wish them all well, of course. Yeah, I'd go. I think Leicester are quite short in the match betting, really, given the week they've had. I was just leaning towards a draw, really, from value grounds more than anything. Not a lot really to say about it. Cardiff aren't winning games, and yeah, draw for me.
It's very difficult, isn't it? Because this is one of those occasions where you can look at the form and the stats and everything, Mark. But I mean, look at these poor players, what they've been through. This guy wasn't just any old chairman, was he? He was an absolute father figure to them, and you could just see with the devastation, those really poignant, heartbreaking scenes inside the stadium on Monday. It's so hard to know what they're going to do, isn't it? I mean, I'll put it this way, I wouldn't dream of having a bet on this. No. I would wish Leicester City well, hope they get the points.
Yeah, I mean, people always try and sort of come up with different. I remember when Astori died for Fiorentina, and they, their next game, people were looking to oppose them because it'd been really upsetting week for them. The guy that came in and replaced him scored the winning goal. So I mean, I just sort of trust that sort of both teams are going to play like they normally do, and that both teams to score. Leicester are the only team in the Premier League that have scored in every match this season, but they have conceded 8 of those 10 games.
BTTS for Mark. Emmett, what's your fancy?
Yeah, like the lad said, and you said as well, it's hard to predict how this game's going to pan out. So I'd take a chance on Josh Murphy to score any time for Cardiff at 4-1. I think he's looked their best attacking player this year, and there's as big as 6-1 any time out there in the market, and I think that's worth chancing.
Okay, Everton are 8-13 to beat Brighton, who are 9-2. It's 11-4 the draw. Joe.
Brighton are they're great at home. They're not so good away, but they are hard to beat. So I was just looking at maybe one or both teams not to score at 4-5. I don't think Everton are world beaters. They're probably the likely winners, but they're short enough. So
you're going for no in the BTTS?
No, yeah.
Mark?
Similar lines, but under 2.5. Brighton have had 3 straight 1-0 wins, but 4 of their 5 away matches have been under 2.5 goals. That includes trips to Liverpool and Man City. But they aren't a team that score many goals on the road. But Everton, you remember like the Crystal Palace game, a similar sort of game where maybe they'll get the job done, but they were 8-13. They were 10-11 against Crystal Palace. And there's probably not much between Brighton and Palace this season.
No, indeed. Emmett, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Mark. I thought, even though Brighton were fortunate to edge Wolves, and they tend to kind of sit deep and absorb pressure, which will lead to them having to kind of poor expected goal stats. But having said that, I don't think Everton have played well enough to go off 8-13 here. So I'd go Brighton double chance at 5-4, And there's some 18-1 and 14-1 out there, and Shane Duffy to score any time, which is, I think, worth chancing either. He's a huge threat for Brighton.
Oh, love it. I like it when you throw in a big long shot on the old first or any-time scorer. This is a real testing one next at St James's. Paddy Power go 13-8 Newcastle, 9-5 Watford, 21-10 the draw. Joe, kick us off.
Yeah, Newcastle probably haven't been as bad as their position in the league suggests, but I think Watford are just playing better football at the moment. You know, they beat Wolves, they beat Huddersfield since the international break. So, yeah, on form, current form, I'm just going to take a chance on Watford in the match playing, but not a strong opinion really.
Lango?
Watford draw no bet. They've only lost 3 games this season. 2 of those were to Man United and Arsenal. The other was when they were down to 10 men against Bournemouth. I mean, I agree. I think Newcastle are playing better than the results suggest, but they've got so little up front, it's difficult to trust.
Emmett?
Yeah, I'd agree with Mark. I think Watford should be favourites here, and drawing a bet at 19-20 represents value. I think it's hard to see Newcastle even scoring a goal, so and their form just so poor, so it's hard to trust them with the price.
OK, it's the Clarets Derby next. West Ham 8-11, Burnley 4-1, 12-5 the draw. Lead on, Joe Champion.
Yeah, I'll take West Ham here at the price. You know, they played well. They probably deserved to win last week, and they probably would have done if Mark Noble had not been sent off. You know, they were the better side until that happened against Leicester, and they battled really hard after. And they're playing a Burnley team that's conceded 9 goals in 2 games since the break. I don't see much coming from Burnley, so Hammers to win for me.
Mark?
Yeah, this is really interesting because West Ham haven't played a team below them in the table yet. So
Wow.
they've had they're 13th, and all the teams they've played have been 12th or above. So maybe
That's amazing.
maybe that explains why they're where they are in the league table. And I think that they'll be comfortably ahead of Burnley come the end of the season, and so the sort of 4-5, 5-6 seems fair enough.
Righto, and Emmett?
Yeah, same again. I'd go for West Ham at 8-11. It was very worrying how easily Burnley were brushed aside by Chelsea last week. I don't think that would have happened last season, even though it was an ideal preparation for West Ham, playing a strong team in the EFL Cup and being beaten by Spurs.
Oh, you've got all Sean Dyche on us there, Emmett.
Sorry, exactly. Yeah.
We defended well.
I'd still fancy West Ham here.
OK, and we've got not 1 but 2 live games on Saturday evening. I've got to stay in because it's fireworks night and the dog goes absolutely nuts with fireworks. I've got to stay in and comfort her. And while that is happening, I shall be enjoying 2 crackerjack fixtures. The first of which is at 5:30. It's Arsenal versus Liverpool. Emmett, what's the latest from Paddy Power?
Arsenal are 12-5, the draw is 11-4, and Liverpool are evens.
Liverpool evens, Mark. Is that the right price or the wrong price?
I think it's the right price, not a price that I'd be wanting to lump on.
Does it feel wrong, and then you look at it and you think, oh no, actually, I can sort of get it?
That's spot on, because I remember sitting here when Liverpool went off favourites at at Wembley against Tottenham, and it was they haven't really done it yet, and we had to question whether they deserved that status. They absolutely battered Spurs. It was 2-1, could have been anything. They've beaten Paris Saint-Germain at home. They've drawn Man City. They are, legitimate title challengers. And, we saw how easily Man City brushed aside Arsenal. Arsenal are a great team to watch going forward. But defensively, I just look at that and think, how do they keep tabs on Firmino, Salah and Mane? I'm not sure that they will. It's not a game that it's a game I want to watch, but not necessarily bet on. If I did have to sort of have a tip, I was thinking Liverpool on the double result, because Arsenal are terrible starters. They've not been ahead at half-time in any game this season.
That's incredible when you think how many they've won, isn't it?
And it seems to be that Emre's very good, actually, at sort of reacting to what's happened and sort of sending them out in the second half to be much better. I question why they're not doing that straight away, though. I think it's because they're a little bit unbalanced. He's probably got 1 too many forward in there, and that's why Aubameyang doesn't play every week. But then Aubameyang's his top scorer, so he hasn't got a balanced team. Liverpool are far more balanced. They've only conceded 4 goals, and they've been ahead in all 8 of their Premier League wins this season at the break. So when they start quickly, that's when they tend to be at their best.
Have you got the that these 2 games clash with Strictly?
No. I've just got a dash back from Charlton. I'm doing.
Are you doing Charlton?
Charlton
That's game in focus, is
it?
Yeah,
that's the game in focus. So that will finish at 4:45. So I might
Blackwall Tunnel.
I'll miss the start of Arsenal v Liverpool, but
okay.
not too much.
Emmett, who wins out of Arsenal and Liverpool?
I'd like Mark said, I wouldn't be that keen on backing anyone at the match prices, so I'd probably chance Liverpool to win and both teams to score. I think it's very hard to keep this Arsenal team goalless, and I think Liverpool are far superior side to Arsenal. I'll be interested to see if Granit Xhaka starts at left back and has to mark Mo Salah. I think that's a potential disaster there. And I wouldn't trust Mustafi and Holding up against Liverpool's fluid attack. With the high line that Arsenal play, I think Liverpool are the perfect team to expose that. And also, I think I'd expect Joe Gomez to come back in here with Van Dijk at the back, and they have the kind of pace and athleticism to deal with Aubameyang and Lacazette better than I'd say any defence in the league, to be honest.
Who's taking the Liverpool pens now that Milner's out?
I think Mane missed one recently. It could possibly be Fabinho if he starts. He had an excellent penalty record for Monaco. But I'm
just thinking that your point about Xhaka is a good one, because one thing Roy did wrong last week is he should have put Wilf onto him much earlier. And obviously when he finally realised that he could get at Xhaka, he won the penalty virtually instantaneously. So I think you're right, Salah could absolutely wreck Xhaka there.
Fabinho did. He scored nearly every one, I think, for Monaco.
Oh, so he could be a first scorer.
He might, if he plays, if he plays, he might be the one to go for. Yeah.
Oh, we might have sussed one there. Joe, what do you think the bet is here?
I looked at every single possible angle on this game, and I've just thought straight backing Liverpool's probably the way to go in the end, to be honest with you. Arsenal have conceded 17 goals in 5 games against Liverpool. That's quite a record. I mean, that was under Arsene Wenger, but the defence hasn't got any better under Emery, even if they're looking better going forward, and as Mark said, they're reacting well to going behind. So, Liverpool, they are the legitimate title contenders, and I think there is a golfing class between them and Arsenal, so they should show it.
Good. Everyone's very pro-Liverpool. And at 7:45, it's Wolves versus Tottenham. This should be another cracker. What's the latest betting, Emmett?
Wolves are 23-10, the draw is 23-10, and Tottenham are 6-5.
Tottenham 6-5. Emmett, we'll start with you. What do you think will happen?
I'm interested to see how Spurs perform here. I was very surprised with the team selection against City, having backed them double chances. Well, I wasn't that happy to see Ali and Eriksen on the bench, and obviously kind of Pochettino's comments during the week as well about kind of saying this is the worst he had felt since he joined. There's kind of an air of uncertainty around Spurs at the moment, and I do think Wolves as well Wolves played pretty well against Brighton and were kind of unfortunate to lose. They're kind of battering them at the end. But the way I'd lean here would be Matt Doherty to score any time. It's kind of the rare and welcome sight of an Irish player producing excellent performances in the Premier League, and he consistently gets in good goal scoring positions for Wolves. We're 8-1 any time with as big as 10s and 16s elsewhere, and he's the way I'd look.
Yeah, he scored a very smart goal at our place. Good player.
He can't get in the Ireland team though.
Why?
Seamus
Coleman.
No, I might know Neil saying something like he doesn't play in the same position. Obviously plays as a wing back. And Seamus Coleman's obviously the regular right back. Maybe sums up Ireland at the moment.
Very peculiar. Joe, what do you think will happen at Molineux?
I'm not too keen on Spurs. Three games in 5 days is not ideal. Even if they did manage to rest quite a few players yesterday, but Wolves are a solid team, aren't they? I don't think they've been spectacular, but they're grinding out results. Not so good recently, but they can definitely get the job done. They frustrated Man City as well when they played them. I like under 2.5 goals here, really. That's copped in all but one of Wolves' matches in all comps this season. So, under 2.5. Spurs may be a bit blunt after their busy schedule.
Fair enough. And Lango?
Yeah, Tottenham have played twice since Wolves last played, which feels slightly unfair. I was looking at Tottenham to win by 1 goal. They still are, I think, Champions League team after all, and Wolves are a team that keep it tight. I do wonder where their goals are coming from. They're a team that play really nice football, and it's a struggle though to see them really sort of creating chances and scoring goals. But they're very good at the back. But Tottenham have scored in 26 of their last 27 away matches. The one exception was away to West Brom when top 4 was all but sewn up, and it was a bit of a strange afternoon, really, at the Hawthorns when they played there. But I think Tottenham can win, maybe even 1-0. Could be one way to go for it. But Tottenham to win by 1 goal was the bet I was looking to have.
Why are Tottenham always viewed as being on the absolute precipice of this crisis? It only takes the programme seller to have a cold and they're in crisis, aren't they? I mean, they're a fantastically run, successful club who are competitive in the top 6, having spent virtually no money compared to others. I don't get it.
It's really weird because usually these people that complain about how little Tottenham are spending complain about how much everybody else spends, and they complain that Ruben Loftus-Cheek can't get a game for Chelsea because of a bloated squad, and then they complain that Tottenham's squad isn't big enough, so they've got to play people like Harry Winks. It should really be. I mean, as Pochettino says, like winning a League Cup isn't going to change their life and where they're going to be. It'd be nice, and they'd rather win it than not win it. But George Graham and one day Ramos won League Cups for Tottenham. The team was rubbish. It doesn't make any. It doesn't define you or your team. I think if you win a League Cup, ask Manchester United, who've won a number of minor trophies, and they don't seem to be very happy.
I just think they're going fantastic. I know the stadium's turning into a little bit of a mini episode of Grand Designs, but I mean, they'll be in there.
That's what's annoyed Pochettino.
They're not putting a tent up, are they?
No, I think that has annoyed Pochettino. Then maybe Daniel Levy sold him down the river on that one, but
they'll be all right. Right then, let's look at the Sunday and Monday games and get the naps next.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Welcome back, Bruce Millington, Mark Langdon, Joe Champion and Paddy Powers, Emmett O'Keefe. Looking ahead to 3 more Premier League games, starting with the non-televised game on Sunday at 3 o'clock. Man City versus Southampton. Why is this on Sunday, Mark?
Because Man City are playing Fulham tonight in the League Cup.
Oh, OK. Fair enough. Bit of early fixture congestion. Right then, I presume they're hot favourites, Emmett?
They are. Man City are 1-12, the draw is 9-1, and Tottenham are 25s.
Right, nice.
Sorry, Southampton.
Yeah, I was going to say, can I have 25 grand to 1? Very quickly, lads, who do you like, Mark?
Man City 3-0. They've only conceded 3 Premier League goals this season. Southampton 1 win all season, 5 games without a goal in the Premier League.
Emmett?
Yes, on similar lines to Mark. Man City to win to 0 at 4-5. Hard to see Southampton scoring. City's defence improved since last year. I think this looks a safe bet.
Do you know, Man City have scored 20 goals since they last conceded one in the league.
Didn't know that.
Stats amazing.
Yeah.
Joe, what do you like?
Yeah, exactly the same. Man City to win to 0 for the reasons already stated.
OK, let's get stuck into the big game of the weekend and possibly the season. 4 o'clock, Chelsea v Palace. It's live on Sky Sports. Chelsea are going to be short. Emmett, how short?
Chelsea are 2-9, draw 5-1, Palace 11-1.
Mark, you go first.
Yeah, I wouldn't be putting Chelsea in the Ackers at 2-9. I think Hodgson has shown in the past, if not this season, on too often a basis, that he can set up a team to frustrate. And Chelsea are the sort of team that you can, if you put everybody behind the ball, make it difficult the way that they play. And
we've got a fair record against them.
Yeah, you have. And Eden Hazard, he didn't play in the last game against Burnley. How fit is he? On similar lines to the Liverpool one, if he doesn't play, Jorginho is on penalties in Hazard's absence, so keep that in mind. I was looking at the second half to produce the most goals. Crystal Palace, in their first 10 Premier League games, only 5 first half goals, which I think sort of follows the line of the template of what you'd expect from a Hodgson team. But eventually, that quality of Chelsea should come through. But also, if you wanted to go for it slightly differently, Crystal Palace have only conceded twice in the first half, so maybe 0-0 at half time, or even 1-0 Chelsea. If you split those, it's about an 8-11.
OK, jolly good. Emmett, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd kind of be on similar lines to Mark. I wouldn't want to take necessarily the 2-9 or even the 4-6 on Chelsea -1. The way I play it would be draw half-time, Chelsea full-time at 3-1. I can see Palace frustrating Chelsea early, and possibly Zaha causing that defence problems, but eventually Chelsea coming out on top.
And Joe, what are your thoughts?
I'll take Chelsea to win and both teams to score. I was quite impressed with Palace last week. I think they've got chances to score against this Chelsea team who kept just 2 clean sheets in 8 games, and one of those was against Molvidi in the Europa League. So, Chelsea probably, they are the stronger team, but they're not completely immune to conceding goals. So, yeah, Chelsea BTS will do me.
Jolly good. We've got a live Monday night football game. Very interesting test. It's down at the bottom of the table, 8 p.m, live on Sky. Huddersfield, Fulham. Emmett, what's the latest betting from Paddy Power?
Huddersfield are 6-5, the draw 12-5, and Fulham 21-10.
This is a tricky one, Joe, isn't it?
Yeah, I gave Fulham a chance last week, and I'm not going to do it again, unfortunately. Jukanovic just doesn't seem to have any idea who to play at the back, does he? It's just every week it's a different back four, and they're getting punished for it. They just don't have any cohesion there. And Huddersfield maybe not the team to punish them, but I wouldn't want to be backing Huddersfield at 6-5, and for that reason, I just think the draw on value grounds is probably the play here. Both pretty poor at the moment, and if Fulham, this could be the end for Jukanovic if they lose heavily at Huddersfield. But
no question. Even if they lose narrowly, I'd say it's the end. Mark, what are your thoughts on this? This could really go any way. I'm struggling with this one.
I mean, if you're into your Asian handicap betting, though, I mean, Fulham with a quarter goal start, so you win half your stake if it's a draw. So you'll profit even if it's a draw, I think, is still the way to go, although you will close your eyes every time Huddersfield have got the ball. But Huddersfield have only won one of their last 20 Premier League matches. That was when they had one shot on target against Watford. They haven't scored more than one goal in absolutely yonk. So if Fulham score, I know they're a really terrible defence, but if Fulham can score, and we know that they can, have Huddersfield got 2 goals in them? I don't think they have. And if you have a look at sort of these 20 Premier League games where they've only won one, obviously there's been some hard games in there, but they've played against Cardiff at home, they've played against Swansea at home, played Crystal Palace a couple of times. They can't beat these sort of teams. And Fulham, for all that they've been absolutely terrible defensively, I still think they've got a goal in them, and one I think will be enough to avoid defeat, even for them.
So Fulham draw no bet?
On the Asian, if you're into your Asian handicap. If not, Fulham draw no bet.
And Emmett?
Yeah, as Mark indicated, there's hard to have massive confidence in either side. Like Huddersfield have only scored 4 goals their last 10 matches, and then Fulham last week just I was like Camera kicking the ball away when he was on a yellow card and they were down to 10 men. It was
ridiculous, wasn't it?
It was madness. Fosu Mensah's challenge for the opening penalty, it was incredibly rash as well. So I've done much confidence in either side, and the draw is the biggest price selection here out of the 3 at 12-5, so I'll go with that.
Okay, it'll be interesting, that, I've got to say. Right then, let's get the naps, because we were 4 out of 4 last week. We're desperate to bring you another 4 winners.
This will not be beaten.
Right then, nothing less than 4 winners will do. Emmett, kick us off.
I'd go, for my nap, I'd go Celtic -1 at 5-6 at home to Hearts. Celtic have really started to hit form lately. They've scored 15 goals in their last 3 league matches, and Hearts have gone up against all firm opposition twice in their last 5 games. In the league, they went away to Rangers at Ibrox and were 3-0 down at half-time. And then in the Cup, they lost 3-0 to Celtic as well. So I think Celtic will take this game very seriously, given Hearts are both in the table.
OK, I'm going to go with Luton at 6-5 to win at Rochdale. Mark?
I'm going to go for Colchester United at home to Swindon. I mean, Col-U are 5th, Swindon are 13th, and yet you can get odds against. And I think that come the end of the season, there'll be at least this gap between them. And so it doesn't really make a huge amount of sense to me, the prices. Colchester won 6 of their 8 home games. I saw them beat Lincoln on Saturday, the league leaders. And you couldn't argue they were they were no worse than Lincoln. Let's put it that way.
Are they just one of these underrated teams?
They are. I mean, they are. I mean, I've sort of been backing them quite a lot this season. I seem to be on them a lot with the times they don't win, unfortunately. But at home, they've been very good, and hopefully they can continue that. I mean, they are legitimate, definitely promotion contenders for sure.
Okay, so the ACCA is Celtic -1 against Hearts, Luton against Rochdale, Colchester against Swindon, and
West Ham to beat Burnley. We've already talked about that. Really impressive how they played in the first half hour or so last week.
Brilliant. Okay, lads, thank you very much indeed. Emmett, what are the weekend plans? You going to watch any football?
Yeah, I've got the Friday and Saturday off, so definitely it's a weekend of football ahead. Very much looking forward to the obviously the Arsenal Liverpool. Like the atmosphere for Wolves Spurs, but a 7:45 kickoff on a Saturday night should be fantastic as well.
I think it will be, yeah. I'd like to be a publican in the Wolverhampton area. I think that will be very lively indeed. Mark, where are you going?
Charlton v Doncaster on Saturday and a rare Sunday off.
Excellent. Where would you go in the press box, or do you sit in with the people?
I'll be in the director's box.
Director's box.
In the director's box on Saturday. Yeah. Right.
Mind you, isn't that one of those clubs where the fans hate the board and
Oh, yeah.
pelt them with
Yeah, that's why there's so much room. Probably.
Exactly. Yeah. Come along, no problem. We'll accommodate you.
Yeah. So no, I'm hoping that. Obviously, I used to play football with Johnny Jackson, and they seem to have turned the corner. So hopefully, they can continue that.
Excellent. And Joe, what have you got lined up?
Yeah, I'm at the end of a 10-day stretch of days working, so 4 days off.
You're going to go and watch the Dons?
No, I'm in the pub all day Saturday. Prior engagement, probably be there for about 12 hours. So
Brilliant.
I'll try and remember the last 2 Premier League games.
Oh, how lovely. That would be great. Okay, chaps, thank you very much indeed. Don't forget, if you enjoy these shows, please make sure you rate, review and subscribe wherever you are listening. We've got a Racing Postcast on Friday, looking into a fantastic weekend of action in America, Britain and Ireland. And if you can't make that, we'd love to see you back here next Wednesday for another Racing Post Football Postcast.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.